So you've committed that sin again, even though you promised yourself that the last time was the last time. You promised Allah you would never do it again. You know this addiction is ruining your life, and it's time to make a change now. And blessed you are, I have a solution. It's not like anything you've ever seen or heard of before. I watched all the videos I could on beating addiction. I studied the Quran and Sunnah. I introspected like never before and gathered all the information out there to make the best video possible on how to beat your addiction. Your addiction is a disease, and the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, there is no disease that Allah created except that he also has created its treatment. So the answer is clear. There is a solution to your problem, and in this video, I'll be explaining what it is. And now before we begin, you need to reframe your mindset to a winner. Right now, you probably have the loser mentality, thinking everyone has an addiction. You are coping and you are wrong. What if I told you that there is a mass amount of people out there who have no addictions, who live life perfectly fine with no addictions bothering them? How would that make you feel? You'd probably think I'm lying because you don't want to believe the fact that there's people out here that are living a life way better than yours. Because as long as you believe that everyone else has an addiction, you'll think your addiction is okay. And it's not. You know it's ruining your life. And if you believe that everyone else has an addiction that they can't beat, how are you going to possibly beat your addiction? If no one else can do it, how do you think you're going to do it? So before we start, you need to change your mindset from believing that everyone has this addiction. There's people out there living great normal lives, and you can become one of them. You can. Before this addiction, remember, you lived life perfectly fine. That means you can do it again. You can go back to that original self, the original innocent self, inshallah. All right, step number one, you need to self-reflect and self-analyze everything that happens to you. You don't want to commit this act of this addiction that you have, but one step leads to another and then you end up doing it. So you need to start tracing your steps backwards. As soon as you get the impulse to do that addiction, you need to stop everything you're doing and heighten your senses. You need to self-analyze real quick. Okay, what happened? Why am I getting this impulse? Well, what's going on? You need to look at your surroundings, look at where you are, who's around you, what did you eat, everything. You need to self-analyze everything. Why am I getting this impulse? That's the first step you need to do. Because if you don't know what's causing the problem, how could you ever expect yourself to solve it? Next time you get that impulse, write it down and write down everything you're doing. Okay, what am I doing? Where am I? What happened? Everything. So let's say you're scrolling Instagram and you get the impulse. Scrolling Instagram. Write it down. Write it down in your notes. Write it down on a piece of paper. Anywhere. Just write it down. Scrolling Instagram. Boom, it happened. Scrolling TikTok. It happened. Staying up late at night when I'm supposed to be sleeping. Boom, the impulse came. Eating a large meal and then laying down. The impulse came. Okay, you need to write all these down. Write all of them down. Every time it happens to you, write it down. Write it down. Write it down. Write it down. The next step is to remove these triggers. Remove them. If scrolling Instagram gives you the impulse to want to go do it, then you need to get off Instagram. You're going to have to sacrifice some things. You're going to have to sacrifice some things. There's no other way to put it. How bad do you want this addiction to go away? Do you want it to go away or do you want it to stay in your life? You know it's ruining your life. You know it's crippling your life. You know it has to come to an end. If you've been doing this addiction for years, it's going to take a minute to reprogram everything. You need to unwind all the abuse that you've done to your brain. So if Instagram is an impulse and it makes you want to go do it, then you need to delete that app. It's wasting your time either way. And these things that you end up deleting from your life, you'll realize they're not even good for you in the first place. Well, what good is Instagram for you? You're not making any money off Instagram. You're not doing anything productive on Instagram. If something is causing you more harm than it is good, you need to get rid of it from your life. In the Holy Quran, chapter 2, verse 219, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, they ask you, O Prophet, about intoxicants and gambling. Say, there is great evil in both, as well as some benefit for people, but the evil outweighs the benefit. They also ask you, O Prophet, what they should donate. Say, whatever you can spare. This is how Allah makes his revelation clear to you believers, so perhaps you may reflect. Allah is saying here in this verse in the Holy Quran that there are some benefits to gambling and to intoxicants, but the negative effects, the negative consequences outweigh the benefits. So it's haram, it's forbidden. So if Instagram is causing more harm to you than good, then you need to get rid of it. Plain and simple. Same with TikTok, same with everything else that causes you those impulses. There are other things like eating a large meal. This is going to be its own topic later in the video because that's how important this one is. But like eating a large meal, indulging yourself in a lot of sweets, all these things are connected. Everything is connected. So whenever you get an impulse, write it down and remove it. You have to remove it from your life. This is one of the most important steps because the addiction doesn't happen right away. You're not just sitting down and boom, you go do it. No, it's something gradual and gradual and gradual and gradual, and then you do it. That's usually how it works. So you need to cut it off from the beginning. And also, you might have to do some extreme things. You might have to do things differently. If going to the gym and seeing things that you shouldn't be seeing creates an impulse later in the day, then you just have to find a new gym or you have to work out at home. I keep my window shades basically closed at all times because there's always women who just expose themselves, walk by, back and forth. So I just keep my window shades closed all the time, unless I'm recording a video. When I'm recording a video, I need the light. So I open up the shades and that's it. Because I don't even want to put myself in a situation where I could slip up. So I just keep the shades closed. So there's no way I can see them. And I already know some of you are thinking, oh my God, you're crazy. You're doing too much. Okay, whatever. But my life is a lot better now. So if not seeing outside my window gives me the best life ever, then okay, I'm just not going to see out my window. That's fine. And some of you are not willing to do that. Some of you are not willing to delete TikTok. Some of you are not willing to delete Instagram. Some of you are not willing to go to sleep earlier. Some of you are not willing to stop eating so much. And to that, I just say you don't want it bad enough. That's it. You just don't want it bad enough. And this leads me on to the next step. You need to destroy all momentum in the beginning. All momentum in the beginning has to get destroyed. Think of it like this addiction, it's like a train. In the beginning, if a train is moving, it's very easy for it to come to a stop. In the very beginning, it's very slow, it's easy to come to a stop. That's the same with your addictions, with the impulses. As soon as you get an impulse, you need to cut it off right there. Just cut it out, boom, done. Don't even let the train move. Don't even let it marinate or sit in your mind and your heart. As soon as the impulse comes, destroy it. Just completely destroy it. Because if you let it go and you let it sit in your brain, and you let it sit in your heart, and it lingers around, and you're thinking about it and thinking about it, the train just keeps going faster and faster and faster and faster. With the trains, eventually it's too hard to stop. It's almost impossible to stop a train that's going full speed. So at that point, you're screwed. You're already in too deep and your brain has switched. You went into this dog animal mode. It's too late. The train has passed, the train is gone at full speed. It's a wrap. So stop it in the beginning. Destroy all momentum it has in the beginning. Don't let it gain any momentum. Just cut it in the beginning. That's what you have to do. All right, now you're probably thinking, Bilal, in the beginning of the video, you said you're going to tell us things that no one else has told us, and we're going to do things that we've never done before. What you kind of said is kind of basic. Okay, fine. If you have heard that information before, I'm going to switch it up right now. Next step, you need to start liking pain. And this isn't no weird fetish or whatever you guys are thinking. No, you need to start embracing the pain. Like a workout. When you're working out, like say for example, when you're benching and you feel your chest just in pain, like it's just getting shredded apart. That's a good type of pain. Even though your brain doesn't necessarily like it. It doesn't like it. But you know deep down, like, okay, this is good. Like this workout is working. That's when you have to start going through. Sometimes these impulses are gonna come at you hard and fast, and it's gonna be painful to like reject them. It's gonna be painful because your brain just wants that sweet, sweet dopamine. That's all it wants. And you have to tell it no. It's going to be painful. You have to embrace the pain because when you go through this pain of telling your brain no and telling your body no, the pleasure you feel after is arguably better than that pleasure you're about to get from doing that sin. Because whenever you go through good pain, that pleasure you feel after feels better. It just feels good. And there's this quote in the book, Captured Thoughts by Imam Ibn al-Jawzi. He said, any pleasure leading to pain is not worth it. Think about that. Any pleasure leading to pain is not worth it. So when you go through that pleasure, you get the pleasure from doing your addiction, that pain afterwards is not worth it because you regret it. You're like, oh, why did I even do that? I don't want to do this. So remember that the pain that you're going to get after doing this is worse than whatever pleasure you're going to feel. So start embracing pain a little bit. Some of you guys have lives that are way too easy. You guys are not suffering through anything. You guys don't have no pain, no struggle. You want to grow? You have to go through pain. That is what it is. Allah tests those whom He loves. So when Allah's putting you through this test, He's doing it out of love. He's giving you an opportunity to prove yourself, to prove that you're strong, to prove that you can do it. To prove it to yourself and prove it to Allah that you're strong, that you're capable. Next step, start fasting. This relates to the earlier point where I said your lives are too easy. You guys don't go through any pain. Look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The pyramid, the hierarchy of needs. From the bottom, it's most important, and as you go up, it gets less and less important. At the very bottom, it's food and water. Food and water is at the very bottom. And so if you just remove this completely, if you just fast for the whole day, remove the food and water, nothing else has room to grow. Nothing else can stand. The base is the food and water. If you remove that, nothing else has room to grow or room to marinate in your head. Because when you're on an empty stomach and you're thirsty, all your brain is thinking about is survival. It's thinking about, I need to eat, I need to drink water. That's not thinking about your addiction. It doesn't even care at that point. It's like, okay, whatever. We just need to survive. Because the addiction doesn't survive unless you survive. So your brain's always going to want the food and water first. So fast. Best days you can fast are Mondays and Thursdays, according to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Try fast Monday and Thursdays for the sake of Allah. Not only we get the rewards from it in the afterlife, inshallah, we also get benefits here. It'll help you with your addictions. And your desires, they love a full stomach. Oh man, if you have a full stomach, your desires love it. Think about it, your stomach is full, it knows it's good, it doesn't have to worry about eating anymore for like the next 12 hours, it doesn't have to worry about drinking anything. Now it can just go wherever else it wants. It can go to desires and go to wherever else it wants. And that's why I said write down all your impulses. Because one of the impulses you're probably going to find is after eating a large meal. When you eat too much food, that's not good. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, you can eat a couple mouthfuls to keep your spine straight, and that's sufficient. You don't need to eat a whole 5-course meal. Eating too much is not a good thing. And this is something I'm gonna have to make a whole video on this, because I see everyone just eating too much. You guys are eating way too much. In Ramadan, when brothers break fast, they bring enough food to feed the entire United States. Understand that one sin leads to another. Wasting food and eating too much food, this is a sin. And then you start wondering why you get thoughts of going to that addiction on a full stomach. So stop eating so much. If you have to eat like a rather larger meal, the Prophet ﷺ said, for your stomach, 1/3 food, 1/3 water, and 1/3 air. That should be the ratio. That's how it should be. It shouldn't be 3/3 food and that's it. You're just all stuffed with food. So there you go. Stop eating so much and control your appetite. Now we're going to talk a little bit on psychology. When you write down, whenever you get that impulse, take note. Are you with people or are you alone? I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, you're alone. You are alone when these impulses come to you. And if they do come around you when you're with other people, those aren't good people. More likely than not, they're not good people. So the opposite of addiction is connection. You go towards these addictions because you're missing something. There's something missing in your life. There's a void. It's connections is what you're missing. Rather it be friends, whether it be a community. Most of you people are lonely. That's the unfortunate truth. A lot of you guys are lonely out there. So when you're lonely, you have this void of loneliness in your life. Your addictions come and cover it up. But when they cover it up, they're destroying everything else. And they're not really covering it up either. There's this study that they did with rats. They took a rat and they put him in a cage. And now in that cage, they had water that was just regular water, and they had water infused with drugs that gave him a lot of dopamine. Whilst in that cage, almost every time that rat went to the drug-filled water and overdosed and died. But then they changed the scenario. Now they put the rat in a cage full of other rats and full of lots of cheese and a lot of food and everything else. And they still had the water, regular water, and they had the drug water. They found that all the rats that were in the cage with each other, they all drank the regular water. They didn't even care for the drug water. If they drank it, it was by accident. They didn't know it was a drug water. Almost all of them drank the regular water. And this is why you cannot be alone. Isolation, when you're alone, it's just you and the devil. You need to surround yourself with like-minded good people. You need to join a community. Because whenever you feel alone, that's when these addictions just flare up crazy. Because your brain doesn't like feeling alone. So these addictions give you sort of comfort, but they don't really work. They're just ruining your life. And I say connections, like with friends and community, because that's all important. But the main connection is the connection with Allah, without any doubt. If you have no connection with God, who is the only one that can help you, how can you expect to get rid of this addiction? If God is not going to help you, who else is going to help you? So you need to establish this connection with God. You need to start praying on time. Like brothers waste their time all day, don't pray, don't read Quran, don't do anything like that. And then they wonder why their lives are crap, why they're not fulfilled, why they feel like they have no purpose. Well, you have no connection with Allah, the one who created you. Remember, Allah created you. He formed you. He made you. And now you're just going to disregard him? I'll do with that. So build that connection with Allah. When you have a connection with Allah, you know someone's always there watching you. He's watching you right now. When you know Allah's watching you 24/7 all the time, it's the biggest deterrent from doing these sinful acts. And Satan is your sworn enemy. Sworn enemy. Until the day you die, Satan is your sworn enemy. He will always try to get you away from the right path, without any doubt. And when you cave to these addictions, you're caving into Shaitan. You're caving into Satan. Now you're following Satan's way. And Satan's way will only lead you to hellfire. That's the only place Satan will take you. He's already destined to go there. It's already confirmed he's going there. So he wants to bring as many people as he can with him. Don't be one of those people. Stay strong. Stay disciplined. Establish that connection with Allah. And in the Quran, chapter 29, verse 45, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Cite what has been revealed to you of the book and establish prayer. Indeed, genuine prayer should deter one from indecency and wickedness. The remembrance of Allah is an even greater deterrent. And Allah fully knows what you all do." So Allah is saying in the Quran that genuine prayer should deter you from this wickedness, from this addiction. And also remembering Allah is an even greater deterrent. Build this connection with Allah. Build it. Allah says if you come walking towards him, he'll come running towards you. And also Allah forgives all sins. So don't think there's no hope. Don't think you have no chance. As long as you're breathing, you still have a chance. Allah is still there. He wants you to come back to him. So go back to him. But go pray. Go build this connection back. And you'll see how your life just changes completely. This addiction will just wither away and die. And then Satan and these desires, they'll just stop bothering you. Because they'll see you have this connection with Allah. And it's strong. Satan doesn't want to waste his time on someone that's not going to shake or break at all. And lastly, you need to find your purpose. You need to find a reason that's greater than this addiction. And Allah says in the Quran, in chapter 51, verse 56, "I did not create jinn and humans except to worship me." So Allah right there, plain and simple, is telling you your purpose. It's telling you why he created you. It's just to worship him. And in the afterlife, you'll get paradise. So worship Allah, worship God. Why should you not worship the one that created you? So if you can take anything away from this video, just take away that. Build the connection with Allah. Because then you'll never feel alone. You'll never feel alone. And you'll never let these addictions take over you. If you enjoyed the video, if you found it helpful, make sure to subscribe. All I talk about is Islamic self-improvement on this channel, following the Quran and the Sunnah. Watch this video, which I think you'll find helpful as well. And I'll see you over there. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.